Hello, everyone. We're back with Ken Dombrowski, executive life coach and master hypnotist. And today I want to talk about something I don't know if we've ever actually dove into at all. And that's going to be how hypnosis and life coaching can actually help people in sports with their mental game. Do you want to just, give people an overview on that?
Well, it's critical. It's so vitally important to have a good mental, emotional game when you're engaged in sports. So every athlete, they're in tune with their body. They're exercising, they're doing their workouts, they're doing their routines, practicing their drills and all whatever that kind of thing. That's great. Feeding themselves, probably pretty well to take care of that body, but they're not taking care of their mind and their emotions all the time. And that's what gets you over that next hurdle is your mind being able to keep on pushing beyond. And the biggest part of it is going to be pain. See, pain is meant to stop us from doing whatever it is you're doing, stop. That's what basically pain is. Physical pain, emotional pain is basically saying stop doing that. So when you're an athlete and you're pushing yourself beyond limits, and you keep on pushing, it's painful, physically painful, but very much so emotionally painful. So if it's physically painful, you can go home and put some ice on something that's hurting, maybe take some Tylenol, ibuprofen or some kind of thing, get lots of rest or something, and you work through it. But we're not taking care of that emotional pain, and that's where you have to have a life coach or hypnotist or, like us, we're both, to help talk you through whatever it is that you're feeling and experiencing, and then set you up to keep moving forward.
Yeah, because I think the first sport that actually really started to grasp the importance of hypnosis was golf, just because golf is so much more a mental game than it is a physical. You're not focused, you're not locked in, and you try and swing that club, you're pretty screwed, So I think that was the sport that kind of was the intro into using hypnosis as a helper for sports. And that's honestly who we get the most is people coming to us for a golf game, whether it be recreationally, professionally, seriously, whatever it is. But that's the first one that really shows you how much the mental side matters. And then I think other sports started to pick up on that, like football, basketball, soccer, even UFC, MMA. Everyone started to kind of understand, I need to take care of what's going on up here just as well to speak to my body to make my technique stay where it is.
All great points. I like that you brought up golf because I play golf. I'm terrible at it, but I like it. I'm not terrible. I guess so. I'm not good. That's for sure. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of tiny microns in that movement that if you're off by 1 micron, it's a terrible shot. And there's a million microns in motion. So you're absolutely right. You have to have a mental game that's actually, matched up with your physical skill level to keep every muscle, every nerve, every fiber, going through the exact same motion over and over and over again without any variation in those microns. So when we look at how does that go, how does that become more of a mental game? Well, you can make a great shot and you think, oh, wow, I'm doing good, so that means I'm going to do better. But every golfer knows that you start off good and then you get crappy.
Yeah.
Everybody, I went through it myself. Hey, I'm a natural, right on. I'm my first couple of times out. And then because your brain is thinking about it, you're thinking about way too much. You don't have a true mind-muscle connection to what's going on. Your first few were just, you were just swinging at a ball. Now you're thinking about it. And you can't help but think about it, and that's what throws those microns off just a tiny bit. So when it comes to any other type of sport, whatever the sport is, having your mental, emotional faculties in alignment. Now, I because I'm a power lifter, I'm a weightlifter, I see this play out in the gym time and time again, where, and I'm not trying to beat up on anybody, but it's usually going to be a younger dude, probably in his 20s, and he wants to be a bodybuilder because he wants to look, cut and ripped with his shirt off and everything like that, and that's great. All for it. But they're going to have this in their mind that they have to go, oh, it's lightweight, man, that's lightweight, it's nothing, it's lightweight. And they think that that's telling themselves that they can do it. They can lift this heavy weight, this really heavy for them, and that by saying it's light, it's going to be easy. But what happens 19 out of 20 times maybe is that they fail at that lift because they told themselves it's lightweight, but it's really freaking heavy. Their body was not in alignment with the lie that their mind just told themselves. So it freaks out. They have to be rescued, basically, from the weight that was about to kill them. And then they're in a depression now. Oh, man, I can't believe I didn't live. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. I have started taking a lot of these guys throughout my years in the gym, say, hey, no, that's not lightweight. Weight is significant. It's deadly. You need to treat it with that respect. You need to talk to that weight. In your mind, get in touch with that weight. Give it the respect that's due. Say, this is going to be heavy and this is going to hurt. And I'm okay with that. And now you're more in alignment with what's actually about to happen, and you'll be more likely to be successful at the lift than if you lie to yourself and go, it's lightweight, it's lightweight, it's lightweight.
I think that also resonates with, other sports because, if you think of the most famous athletes of all time, all they do is talk about how much time they spent practicing. And I think the best time to kind of perfect your mental game along with your physical game is in practice, because that's where you get that muscle memory and you get the connection between mind, muscle, body, whatever you want to call it, and really make sure that it's there for when it's like actually game time. Mm-hmm. There's some athletes that say that they prefer practice to the actual games, because there's a little bit more of that cohesion there and things like that. Some like the spotlight, but you just need to figure out how to get yourself in that mode to where this is really working for you, because mental blocks can 100% affect people's games. People there's things all the time. It's like, oh, that person's going through a breakup. They're going to have the game of their life because they're pissed. They're mad. They've got to get something out. They have something to prove, like different situations in your life will kind of give you more game, less game, and that's the same thing. But we want to keep it as regulated as possible by doing things like life coaching and hypnosis.
Well, one of my favorite all-time athletes is Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. I watched, I'm sure, every fight he's ever had, amateur and pro level, multiple times. I just love watching that guy work back in the 1980s, early 90s. He was amazing. Well, he had this killer instinct. He was just drive, go, 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 hit hard. I have to win this fight. So I thought that the whole time in my 20s, because he and I are almost exact same age, I thought during that whole time that this guy had this unstoppable will. He knew he was the best. I had thoughts in my head from back in the 60s and 70s of Muhammad Ali saying, I am the greatest. So I'm kind of thinking similar with Mike Tyson. In his head, he just knew he was the greatest, and that's all there was to it. But then I saw an interview with him maybe about 10 years ago or so, where he said, they said, what's your biggest driving factor? What's your biggest motive factor? He said, fear of losing. Because I walked in that ring terrified of losing. That's what made me hit harder, move faster. To lose in front of all these people would have been the worst thing to happen to me. I go, holy crap, that blew my mind wide open. Mm-hmm. The greatest, athlete, one of the greatest athletes of all time, is admitting that he was scared every time he went into a fight. He didn't go into that fight knowing he was going to win. He went into it knowing that there's a possibility he could lose, and that was unacceptable.
Is he the one that said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that proves it too, because, a lot of, like you were saying earlier with lifting specifically and like time in the gym, it's all about, mental toughness and like personal motivation, whatever you want to say. And I think most gyms I've been in, private, public, they have that somewhere. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's kind of the thing. Like, you think you know what's going on until something interrupts that. And what's going to fall apart when something gets interrupted? Your mindset. Mm-hmm. That's why it starts with life coaching and hypnosis. You can spend every single day in the gym all you want perfecting technique, but you still need to have some level of like certainty within yourself in order to make anything follow through on a serious level.
Exactly, yes. It's that we have the three realms of our existence, our mind, our body, and our spirit. Mm-hmm. So those three have to be in alignment. If they're not in alignment, I don't care how gifted and talented your physical body is, no one's ever going to know your name because you're not going to rise in the ranks, because you have to have all three together at the same time. Even if, like in Mike Tyson's case, even if it's fear-based, it still worked for him. So that's another part of it when it comes to the mental game. There's just too much garbage out there, TikTok life coaches and YouTube life coaches and whatever, and I'm one of them, okay. But they're telling you can have, do, or be anything you want as long as you want it badly enough. And that's just an absolute outright lie. That's an absolute lie because Mike Tyson, again, I'm using him again as an example, the 60 men that he knocked the hell out, they were all convinced. They worked out hard. They trained like an animal. They went in that ring convinced that they were going to win. And within 30 seconds, they're kissing the canvas and they realize that they were wrong.
Yeah, I think here will never be you can have, be, and do anything you want to be, but we'll always be, we'll help you figure out what your plan is after you get punched in the face. That's pretty much more alongside what we are. Like,
right.
How do you not let something make you fall apart? How do you try and be the best version of whoever it is that you are? That's the realm that we operate in. Like, how can this actually apply to you today, tomorrow, and next week, not 5 years from now when your dreams finally come true? You know, like, we're operating in the here and now. And I think that's like the biggest difference, you know, not only for athletes, but every individual is that can do a lot of good. Just making sure that your mindset stays like equal and solid and even throughout everything. Obviously, shit's going to be hard and you're going to have great days. You're going to have bad days, but there needs to be less of like a dramatization between the events.
Well, I'm also thinking as you're talking here about another one of the great athletes of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Long before he became an actor and a governor and whatever, he was the world's. He's still today. He retired from bodybuilding 50 years ago, and he is still today the most famous bodybuilder of all time. But he didn't have a life coach. He was his own life coach basically, but he was supported by workout partners and I guess you could call them coaches, but it was a little bit different, a little bit more primitive than what we do today. Well, you watch some of his interviews from how he did it. Same thing. He calls it he had a blueprint in his mind of what he was going to look like, and he was willing to work harder in the gym than anyone else to get to it. And I love how he said it. He said the other guys in the gym, they all have a sour look on their face, like they don't want to be there. They're exhausted. They're worn out. And he said, people say, Arnold, why do you have a smile on your face? You've been working out for 5 hours straight, lifting heavy weight, killing yourself. He said, because every set and every rep gets me one step closer to the dream of being Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe, and whatnot. So that's what kept him going. He actually said in one of the movie interviews that he had, it was so interesting, he was wanting to transition into acting from bodybuilding. So he was still a bodybuilder trying to do acting. Got a phone call from a famous Hollywood agent while he was at the gym, because this is back in the 70s. No one had a cell phone. So he goes over and he picks up the phone and they tell him this famous agent who wants to talk to him right away. He said, I'm working out right now. Call me back in an hour, and hung up the phone. See, that's mental fortitude. He knew who he was and where he was going and what he was doing. He wasn't going to deviate from his plan just because a phone call came in.
I mean, that also shows you, like you said, like earlier, everyone's reasoning and their drive can be totally different, but there needs to be something there that's like holding you to it, whether it's humility, fear, just like the end goal, but also one thing that's also in common, these things are attainable. Again, just like make sure that you're on the right track. Like, we don't want you bringing your 9-year-old and wanting them to be the next basketball star when they have no athletic ability. Like, just make sure that everything makes sense for who they are, but there's different ways to get there. It's just there needs to be a certain level of, positivity, humility, understanding, and respect for the sport, the end goal, and everything like that in between.
All really great points, and then I want to kind of finish it up with a personal memory that I have. A really good friend of mine who's a personal fitness trainer, he told me years ago, because I was always amazed by my strength, and even when I was just doing new exercises, how fast I would grow and get bigger and get stronger really fast, really easy, which of course pisses everybody off. He said, I finally figured it out, Ken. He says, you lift without fear. And it took me a moment. I thought about it. I go, what? I think that's right. I do. I lift without fear. I don't care how heavy it is. I'm not afraid of it. I'm going to give the weight, like I said earlier, a whole lot of respect. There's a difference, of course. I'm going to respect the hell out of it. I'm going to do what I can and give it my all, give it my best. I'm going to try hard because I'm a try-hard son of a gun. And if I'm successful, great, I'll celebrate. If I'm not successful, that's great too, because now I know what I need to do to be successful, again, maybe a month later if I try it again. So he told me, you lift without fear, and that's always stuck with me because when I'm lifting now, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not afraid of this weight. I respect it, but I'm not afraid of it. Even if I was to get injured, I wouldn't care. It would not stop me.
I mean, you did get injured, not even in the gym, snapped your bicep all the way up your arm and had the fastest recovery your doctor's ever seen. So if you need proof after proof of what life coaching and hypnosis can do, when someone else is helping you, look at the person that's trying to help you because he can do it for himself. And that's pretty much unheard of. Obviously everyone could use a little bit outside of help, but there's a lot of proof in the pudding here. We're not trying to be like, hey, we're going to help you do this, but we've never done it. So that's part of it too. We're not professional athletes. Let's say that first and foremost, but there's a lot of avenues that we can help people in, and it does come from a lot of personal experience and a lot of personal growth. So we're not out here just like, we've never done that, but we can help you do that. This is growing together and growing because of one another, and we'd love to be part of that journey. So if you're interested in, coming in for hypnosis, life coaching, both to get better at your sport, heal, whatever it may be, visit our website or give us a call today. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Mano.